Doctor Who fandom has been through changes over the years. An odd, harmless, likable group, unfairly maligned as smelling of urine by a tabloid class, themselves smelling of hacked mobile phones. For a few years they were super cool, embraced by all, except those who made up stories of misogyny. Then there was the age of anti-woke, often confused with not calling out racism and atrocious storytelling. Unusually, the loud, awful, clingy poo fandom were the same who openly praised the spin-off Torchwood, which is a thinly veiled rapist's manifesto.
Oh, I just wanna fucking suck, everyone. I just wanna fucking suck, oh, the whole night through.
Comparisons to Torchwood had me sceptical about new franchise offering The Land Between the War and the Sea, which aired its first two episodes recently. No spoilers, it didn't set my world on fire, but it was an enjoyable affair. What's most notable in the show making its mark is its visual appeal. It had me thinking a lot about Game of Thrones and how that show took the natural environment and used it in service of prestige television. See also Breaking Bad. Land looks, simply put, stunning, big and cinematic. Utilizing the environment is important because as the story unfolds, ecological issues are shown to be at the center of it. The title is quite literal. It's issue-led television, but because it's sci-fi, it manages to do this quite well. Natural and man-made landmarks are tapped successfully to create a jarring, preternatural experience, at once iconic and demonic. Indeed, there's a casual pacing in its approach to horror, which I found refreshing. There's also blooming parliamentary politics in the story, putting me in mind of 90s series Babylon 5. Good company to be in. War Between the Land and the Sea shares with Torchwood the starter idea of a civilian embed within a military unit, which takes us from the roots of unit in the Pertwee era of the show. Russell Tovey plays an everyman in over his head, and by episode 2 gets more to do than quack. Gemma Redgrave brings an alpha presence to proceedings as a head of unit. The standard is Gugu Mbatha Raw as Salt, representative of the Sea Devils, acting up with subtle nuance and lead powerhouse. The casting is great, though some of the acting choices cause a disconnect with the script. Perhaps this could have benefited from directorial pushback, but I'm nitpicking. This is quality drama escapism. It even manages to be quite funny as it picks up the pace. YouTube, where vocal pronouncements on whether Doctor Who encourages kitty diddling or should win a Nobel Peace Prize, seems to be on the same happy page as me, or at least follows the same narrative as each other. Rest assured, by the time the finale, episode 5, comes around, it will have ruined Christmas. But until then, it promises to be an enjoyable enough journey.
So one is catalyzing action stick with horror, working towards two, which sticks with a new status quo going forward, at least for a little bit. It's out with Jonathan Hines, the actor, having a lovely sort of thick of it-esque quality, in with Russell Tovey's Barclay, Taxi Booker, and he gives us a sort of a Peter Parker kind of element. I was a bit distracted by the second wheelchair user, and I don't know the stats. There's all kinds of questions I have that inform my curiosity about social stratification and employment representation. Also, who is this guy? What is his rank? It must be fairly high if he can talk back to Kate Lethbridge-Stewart. So, yeah. Russell's making a political point on diversity hiring and going full in, no prisoners taken, which is fair enough. But insofar as it accounts for the realism of military hiring, I'm not entirely so sure. The director for this whole bank is Dylan Holmes Williams, who does a fantastic job alongside producer Eduardo Ferretti. There's lots of use of warm colours, which communicate to inflated Department of Defence budgets, but maybe less so the grievances of the Sea Devils. We saw glimpses of Salt ire in that sort of weird kind of hanging corpse kind of thing, and the dialogue around her choked babies, which does give us the grimy, gritty, forced him to live in. But the polished cinematic, it doesn't show the muck and detritus and filth that our species have caused. I mean, we get some of that in the writing in of Barclay's glass of water that he is ordered to drink. Barclay Pierre Dupont, oddly named, is a little too much of an audience surrogate at times, coming out in a sort of a level of naivety on global matters, which strain credibility. I mean, the flip side is that attitude's function acts as a buy-in for us before the story then goes on and subverts our expectations around Barclay and Salt by degrees. And I like the use of script variations implemented, the various choices of words that Barclay can be ordered to deliver. It demonstrates a committee of multiple nations, our advances in technology and implementing hyper-narrative within narrative. Some of the dialogue is a bit hokey, especially when those characters try to quip and like fall flat. Well, there's this ho, 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 make me feel that sometimes he or she delivering it is a bit of a scumball.
You're jealous.
Can we order room service now?
Sure. I'll have the fish.
Mushrooms are the reproductive organs of mycelium networks.
Wait, I'm eating reproductive organs on my toast.
There's two centerpiece resonant bits for me in episode 2. The first being Barclay's furious outrage, which is quite satisfying. And this brings us on to the second, which is the focus on Peter Barclay Barker, which it gives us the interface between Joe Public and Plastapocalypse. So even if it's a little running back and forward outside corridors, the story is visually dramatic, is spectacular, and it's given me 3 big thoughts. So it is. It must have taken the fish people some organising just to pull this off. It's a full Aqua Global military union. Years of coordinated planning so that their intentions are quite clearly premeditated. The second is that, hey, we humans helped this out by putting so much rubbish in the sea. Aren't we the coolest? And maybe bridging story spectacle fetishisms. Number 3, the Titanic. New Who has an unhealthy fixation on the Titanic, a symbol of elite class opulence and arrogance. Its overuse makes it seem less like tragedy than a positive. And the murders, I couldn't really sit back there. The murders just desserts for wealth hoarders. I'm not sure if this is really doing my freaking head and bloody Sea Devils. So I'm not sure if this is the intent of Titanic as symbol here. I think it may be that the subversion is the point, but the delivery of a joke, it just feels tacky, too filthy to swallow. It's only on screen a moment, but honestly, I'm bored with the Titanic. So the breakdown of talks with all the ambassadors standing up and shouting is reflected in itself in the breakdown of hyperscript. It's something the characters just should have prepared for. All in all, it's favourable. The good dramatic tensions keep me gripped and I want to see what happens next. And I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. I'd like to hear your feedback on your thoughts on this, on my thoughts, with your thoughts on my thoughts. Yeah.
Episode 3 structure is a bit wonky, a bit contentious. The training preparation went very quickly. The social preparation was a good length. It hit the right emotional beats for me in family anger and anxiety. Gives a build into Barclay as actually a soldier. My problem, and I did enjoy it too, was the length devoted to the submersible trip. 20 minutes of screen journey for them to arrive. It's half the episode. You take out 5 for the land stuff, 15 minutes. So the writer's choice is that it's a necessity to onboard us with 3 main new characters and to grow 2 others that we've seen up until this point. Secondary characters.
Can everyone just shut up now, please?
Gives us time to spend with Colin McFarlane playing General Pierce, whose stubborn bluntness and bluster comes with its own eye-rolling fun. Now in the scenes of the boardroom there's sonic weaponry, there's key shipping lanes, and all this helped build the world of global military logistics and human evolution. The plot stocks us up to Kate versus the governments, and that's the dominant drive of these scenes, which is kind of a pity in that it overrides the interesting aspects the baddies talk about. Homo Aqua's ability to help us, Homo sapiens' head start. Those currents of logistic stories fall below the crushing tide of conflict as pivotal story.
My kid is not living through a war.
I never had kids. If I get out of here, I'm going to call my brother.
I don't think there's any need to resort to incest. It does demonstrate the panic though. As I said, first time without foreknowledge of Ted's real agenda, I felt this section went on a bit. Maybe the scene relies on a second viewing to the detriment of the first.
This is a trap. They're going to kill us.
For Christ's sake, Ted, shut up!
He's really quite panicked, Ted. What's this? The final third balances the structure with the land and the sea. Homo Aqua's base achieves a good balance in making use of a modern, high-quality video effects to paint the environment, staying true in the undersea base aesthetics of something from the Pertwee Baker eras of the 70s and 80s. And Sultan Barclay's intimacy feels overly accelerated, in places earned. But this judgment is made tougher by the acting chops of Mabatha Gugu Raw, who affect gentle tenderness, sensitivity which, well, I put in mind of Mira Furlan's performance as Delenn in Babylon 5. Mabatha Raw plays the romance plot in a very similar kind of way. A way which I felt reached out and was quite engaging. Okay, who had Colonel Ibrahim on their bingo card? Certainly a bit of a shock to see that character go. Sometimes killing a lead or a secondary character is something a writer will regret later. It can leave a void in story mechanics. So we'll wait and see with that one. See how it plays out.
Your war is lost.
Woo! That's the sort of TED Talk you don't want to go to. There was enough foreshadowing to tell us that this mission would end in tragedy, but also that it seemed that it would come from Aqua Homo rather than Homo sapien, as was my assumption. So, good bait and switch there. Ted turned out to be Ted mental. Yeah, all in all, good, gripping, enjoyable third part.
Everybody's dead, Dave. Everybody's dead, Dave. They're all dead. Everybody's dead, Dave. Everybody is dead, Dave. He's dead, Dave. Everybody is dead. Everybody is dead, Dave.
The producer and director have been messing about with synchronizing in and out of audio video to express Kate's panic attack, retaining action beats. Shirley Bingham in command. So instead of bingo, they shout, Bingham!
Where is this from? Steve, is that real?
Could be a deep fake.
I get it. A deep fake. Episode 4 is really great at showing PTSD, and that's performances carried by Russell Tovey and Gemma Redgrave, who outacts Tovey. The script trusts Redgrave, and she is welterweight. Also fitting in Bingham, aka Ruth Medley's inability to physically comfort her due to disability. It took my rewatch before understanding the Severance link, a billionaire think tank connected to Downing Street. Severance are hidden by the French general Dominique Dussolier, actor Barbara Probst, playing the role with too thick French accent. Stuart Alexander gives us loud American General Gunsberg, but knows how to dial it back. Know what I mean, boss?
Boss.
Boss? Are you the boss?
What's the
Are you a boss?
Like you're gonna shoot me.
He'll want to be careful. Could get as salted.
Barclay, bloody Pierre, stupid name, you cunt.
And laughter's good, because tense drama thriller to 11 with social issues, it's still a made-up story with mermaids and Aquaman and Britain as an industrial powerhouse, and probably somewhere a robot called Blinks who looks like a horse, and big fish that look like they came from the Paisley audience on Question Time, and little fish and 5-star luxury hotels with mini bars for military operations. Well, everyone knows migrants have all the Hiltons. The PTSD isn't confined to one scene. Here the story pace works pace with Lethbridge Stewart's psychological journey, running alongside to establish a constant state of panic. So much so, I don't really give a shit when Tide turns up. The eyes are on Redgrave.
The Earth with a
Why
design.
are you all insane?
Right.
Tide, played by Samuel Oatley, gives his best to dominate with big A aqua alphaness. Deep voice, brief breaths, gravelly and curt, a short, good performance.
Oh, we got owned.
We got rusted.
Yeah, we get taken out of both drama and comedy. I'm sure those characters will become instant and firm favourites. The episode's back half focuses on the fugitives, and a top argument for renaming the show the Gugu Mabatha Raw between the land and the sea. Yes, character development courses down the plug hole, hunted by two warring species, those she's only ever known, and giddy as a sunbeam with an ice cream. Unless she does have a memory slightly longer than a goldfish. Maybe. There's no personal organisers around. The arc does find a destination, which Mabatha Raw completely owns, swimming into it at velocity with grace and charm, although the physical attraction aspect should have actual intent in how it's directed, puts me in mind of Preacher and the character TC, who fucked fish. So totally Mabatha Raw occupies it. She's having so much fun with the role that it's infectious. The setting of the trap is contrived. The standoff and showdown on the bridge is satisfying, tense escapism. Pew, 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 pew.
War Between the Land and the Sea Part 5 continues a well-paced, fast-paced stuff with the really rather nasty dog trapping worthy of the orange one. There's a continuation of character journeys through trauma, specifically Kate and Barclay, which actually has a through line to the bigger story and is of importance that way. Both of them are stepping back into life without a spark, and these elements go far beyond the state of shock.
Very funny!
The 11th Doctor's let himself go. Co-writers Russell T Davies and Pete McTeague use aquakind and the melting of the ice caps to relate to real-world environmental catastrophe. Samuel Oatley returns as Tide, very brief appearance, but absolutely making an impact, very commanding, boosted by the huge, massive amplifiers. The major component this time is Barclay's unlikely escapes from maximum security house arrest to Herne Bay. Why not the river? The problem of this contrivance is attacked on all sides by the writers. Conveyed as a thing, it comes with suggestions that he's insane, that it's a dream, and a realisation that all is not as it appears, which is beautifully paced. Barclay and ourselves are allowed to shelve it as some kind of therapeutic delirium. Of course, it is a unit setup, and most of the exposition is described to us by the rogue agents, which makes it easier to swallow.
Picked up on comms. It was buried in one of Sir Keith's final messages.
How does Kate have access to the Prime Minister's Chromecast? This only adds to the fascinating dramatic face-off between the two. The employment of espionage vocabulary in the story seems like it's got a tick list behind it, were it not delivered seamlessly. There's escape, secret ops, midnight raids, food tampering, choreographed break-ins, surgery, lovers across enemy lines, code words. Certainly it betrays a huge confidence in the narrative. 2025 was the year Skype was retired, so we get one last callback in Sea Skype.
We just have to hope, right?
Successive episodes of Doctor Who have built the fear that any finale RTD touches will instantly fall apart. Compounding that is the ambiguity around any sense of an ending in drama. The solution is again clever. We get a quantum of endings. War ends without backtrack, without contrivance. It lets the end happen by giving into the inevitable horror. More than that, it gives us multiple ends, but many of them are just suggestions. Few are explicitly stated. A lot are reliant on your headcanon. It's each viewer employed as writer. For example, it's never quite stated what severance is.
About the virus, how did it happen?
Nothing. We have suspicions, but we can't prove anything.
We can make an educated guess. It's probably correct, but in the ambiguity, there's storytelling. There's the ending where the war is being won by the Aquas. The Homo Aqua deaths are quite shocking. I can even see a suggestion that humans used Barclay as a carrier for the virus, the love story perverted. The war being won by the humans, a hollow victory which brings the drama's escapism to realist relevancy. And with the global repercussions, it carries its own spoken personal threat.
Water will find you one day.
There's the amnesty of the trench ending. It's Barclay just standing there against the cracking of the glass is somewhat iconic. The carpet pulled by lots of cheese. The other night I accidentally topped up a pizza with too much cheese and was letting off the stinkiest farts I can imagine. I mean, we're talking real brown pants time. I can only imagine the horror is the intent of the reporter's appearance. There's also the suggestion Barclay has been given gills as well. And two last swan songs of showcasing our beautiful world through our beautiful cameras. And a delicious slice of black comedy.
Pick it up. I said, pick it up. Pick it up!
So a fistful of endings, all enjoyable at the same time. If you didn't like one, wait 20 seconds and another one will come round the corner. The War Between the Land and the Sea is a competently realised drama of escapism and real-world relevancy. Gripping characters, decent actors, especially Mabutha Raw as Salt. The series' missteps are small, barely worth bitching about. However, in the 3 hours after broadcast, YouTubers were already doing just that. A lot of use of the phrase, did it stick the landing? Whereas a more nautically themed pun might have been appropriate. To be fair, some of them sat on the fence, presumably for the same reasons of clickbait rather than a considered opinion. Having a video up to, in some cases, 1 hour after broadcast tells me you've not really put much thought into it or other things in your life. I'm also just a bit jealous and old and sleepy. If you didn't enjoy my review of War Between the Land and the Sea, please subscribe to my Patreon on one of the paid tiers where you could have gotten this 3 hours ago. Oh God, this is uncomfortable. How am I going to get back up? Happy Christmas, everyone.